Okay, we're back. Next item is the draft public recognition and public comment procedures and council conduct policy. I have a PowerPoint here that was created by John over in legal. So I want to give him recognition for doing that.
Conduct public record is it
Public recognition. And so we're just working off the packet. You have this in your packet. And as I mentioned before, I'm not going to read these word by word, but hey, take a look at the PowerPoint if you want. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just refresh our memory of how we are to where we are today. Beginning in October, we stopped public recognition. We paused it. And it was for regular business meetings. Notice that's in bold. Tonight we're talking about, do we want to reinstate the public recognition, or do we want to have it in a different way, shape, or form? So our next slide, the purpose. You look at our BMC. The purpose of the council meetings is to conduct official business and to take the action thereon. Okay. That's the BMC. Background. There is no, and I have our attorney here, Kylie, so she can back me up, but there's no legal requirement to have public recognition. I think we all understand that. I'm not sure the public understands that because some people quote the First Amendment. And I've always said, no, that's when we have public recognition, I fully understand the First Amendment. That's basically you get to say what you want to say, which is one of the reasons why we're here tonight talking about public recognition, right? So I can't really censure you during the public recognition process. However, for items on the consent agenda or the general business, I can ask you to stay germane to the topic. And that's the difference. Public recognition, yeah, we have these council rules and guidelines, but even if it's hate speech, I'm afraid I can't stop you under public recognition. Okay. And again, kind of the reason why we did the pause. Okay. Allowing for written comments is acceptable under state law for the consent agenda or general business items. Okay.
I think that is a surprise for a lot of people. You actually are not required to have oral public comment at council meetings under the OPMA. It allows the city to set a time frame for written public comments, even on action items. I'm not saying you got to go there. I'm just letting you know what the legal requirements are. So if the council said we want written comments submitted by Monday at midnight, then they'll be distributed to the council for consideration. I could do that.
Is that new, or is that been the case for a long time?
It used to not be required at all, and then they added a requirement that we accept public comment in some form, and that was in the July of 2022. But it did allow for written comment.
Okay, because I'm just updating our rule procedures with that change. Okay.
Okay, so the last bullet point John put in here is reemphasize it's not required. We have welcomed public commentary multiple times during regular business meetings, and it's got a slide that talks about the opportunities for public comment. So public speaking opportunities by the numbers. And this, I kind of found this shocking, but he assured me, and he went back 2 years. So if you just looked at the way it was before October 1, any member of the public had basically 3 minutes for public recognition, 1 per meeting, 3 minutes for consent agenda, so that's another 3. General business items. Would you believe we only have an average of 1 general business item?
Yeah, I would believe
Isn't that something? Right. And because we put most of it on the consent.
Mm-hmm.
And then public hearings, we 3 minutes. We have an average of 1 public hearing every 2 meetings. Oh, so by the way, public hearing you would require.
That's correct.
That's because it's a public hearing, so you would allow.
Right. We treat almost every item like a public hearing sense, right? So our meetings are done where we have an opportunity to speak on each item before action is taken. Some cities have a public recognition portion at the beginning of the meeting that's on agenda, off agenda, consent, general business, this is the time, you get your 3 minutes. And so, we don't do it that way. We do it per item, which is about one.
So are you saying some cities, like if you have a public hearing that night and a consent agenda, they could only speak once and for
No,
3
the
minutes on
public
both?
hearings are separate. The public
Okay.
hearings are always gonna be
3
the
minutes.
gavel, like, I don't know that
Well,
it's a minute, but it
It's up
is
to
a,
us.
usually the procedures for by statute, they can,
Mhm.
that's required. Those had to be noticed separately and things like that. But what I'm saying is the, public recognition, consent agenda, and general business items are sometimes combined into one 3-minute period.
Okay.
Oh,
Alright, so
Okay.
we're gonna have some options. I'm sure you've all previewed the slides, but.
Mhm.
Okay, so again, John did this analysis, public speaking opportunities, the next slide. The Council Gore, previously to October 1 had 10.5 minutes on average available speaking time per meeting. Without public recognition, we currently have 7.5 minutes meeting on average. All right, here's some considerations. Whether you agree with this or not, I think we would be in agreement with what's on these slides. At least I will. Okay, so when the public comes to us for public recognition, they often expect us to have dialogue with them back and forth. The format as we currently have it allows no response. Community members end up feeling unheard, and council appears to be detached. I think we all could be in agreement with that. Is like, what, do they not care? They're not saying anything? They're whatever. It's not designed that way. And concerns often require follow-up. Council members and staff cannot provide in the moment because we've got to get on to the city business, right? It's not set up for continuous dialogue between speaker under public recognition and council. It never has been. All right. And then we have to consider hate speech and misinformation. So as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, open mic rules severely limit the ability to restrict harmful speech. And along with heated speech could be additional safety concerns based on the temperature of the room. And the chair may struggle with handling the situation in the confines of the law. We've experienced that in several meetings over the years. I believe we've had. I mean, I think we all recall the hate speech that was called in on a Zoom meeting, right? I'm Jeff. Remember?
he did his best. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
There was
That-
two. There was actually two.
Yeah, there were
There was
two.
two, and
Yeah.
we don't need to revisit any of these examples. I shouldn't have. But anyway, this isn't something that just happened
You did your best.
that triggered necessarily, oh, now we're having a knee-jerk break. This has been going on for years, okay?
Mhm.
And so, if anything, this is an opportunity for us to say, you know what? For years it's been broken. Maybe we should change. It's okay to change, right? It's okay to change things. And if things don't work out the way you changed it, you can always revisit. All right. Next slide, considerations of vending versus problem solving. So there you can see some of the public recognition has lots of good points, but that first bullet point talks about what it also can be used to. And we've experienced that at the city council. I don't want to get into specific examples. Okay, another thing, I just said I don't want to get into examples, but I'm sure you felt after some public recognition emotionally drained, something that really upset you, and then you got to go on with the rest of the business meeting with that having in the back of the mind, and perhaps using your opportunity in your council member reports to counter what was said during public recognition, which isn't really ideal either, right? The debate, it's not ideal, but I can understand why a person would do it based on what may have been said during public recognition. Okay, I get it. All right. So now let's talk about recommendations and next steps. So here's option one. And I think I've got three options here. This is time for discussion. If we reach an agreement on how to proceed starting next week, that's fine. If we can't reach consensus, I understand, and it gets carried forward to the next council meeting in January. But let's just work our way through this and have the discussion. So one possible option is to remove public recognition and verbal comment, okay? Again, there's no legal requirement other than for the public hearings. There's no legal requirement to allow for verbal comments on consent agenda and general business. What this would do is the packet would be issued on a Friday, and the public could send in their written comments. Staff would be able to read, if they were received by noon on Monday, staff would be able to read the comments, be better prepared for the presentation, and possibly address those comments during the presentation. Right. It also allows council to understand the public's questions and comments about agenda item before the council meeting. Another thing. And then you see the other bullet point there too, as far as that addresses those people that cannot necessarily make the council. So that's one option. Remove public recognition and verbal public comments. So basically just have public comment for public hearings, and that's it. So just a reminder, right now we're at remove public recognition, and we do have verbal public comment for general business items, public hearing, and consent agenda. So option two is what I just described, just remove the public recognition. Right? And in addition to that, if we want to go that route, a thought process would be, look, I understand that the council may want to hear from their public on non-city business items or non-agenda items. What would their opportunity be then if we remove public recognition? One, they can always write an email. They can always call the council office. But there's other things the council could do. They could have set office hours. Council members or a council member or council members could start setting up office hours. Could have listening sessions, small group meetings. So that's an alternative if you want to do that.
And district meetings.
District meetings as well. So I'm thinking of an example was given to me that for years, I don't know if she still does it, but Mayor Erickson used to have office hours on Saturdays at Postville City Hall. Rick, you could have office hours at the Starbucks on Kitsap Way or whatever, like Saturday mornings. If you have a cup of coffee anyways, say, I'm going to be at the cafe from whatever, and just announce that during your council meeting, or just let people know you're available then, or whatever. It's just the concept. All right. So option two is basically what we're doing right now. Let's consider having office hours. Listening sessions could be, you don't necessarily want a quorum of the council because then you have all that, but you could have two council members decide, hey, let's go have a listening session. Or option three is move the public comment after the general business. So this would be consent agenda, general business, public hearings, mayor's report, So basically the business items, and then
But that should say public recognition,
Yeah.
the open.
Well, I think, no, what they're saying, and let me, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but this is comment, it would be public comment, not just public recognition, because they are given the opportunity to use their 3 minutes to wrap everything up, all the issues they have with all the agenda items.
no,
Yeah,
so,
okay.
no, so this would be public recognition.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
apologies.
Yeah,
It,
I think the paragraph says public recognition.
Yeah, it does.
The
Oh,
heading.
sorry. Well, maybe I'm just going with the idea I like then.
Okay.
That's what I like.
so, yeah, so just basically move it to the end. And I'm gonna get to an example here in a second of a city that incorporates this. Okay, so the benefits, again, I don't know about you, but I like the idea of what we've been doing since October 1 is just get down to city business, knock it out. Okay, then the mayor's report, and then the council member reports. I find it a much more business-like meeting, to be frank.
Mhm.
Okay, so there you can see the benefits that are cited after that. So, okay, here's an example, City of Bellingham. Now, my understanding, and I read this email a long time ago, so if I get this wrong, I apologize. But my understanding was not this year, but the year previous, there was an incident in the city of Bellingham, and the council at president at the time did what I did, which was basically saying no public recognition. And then for this year, the new council president said, "Oh, we're going to modify the rules," and the rest of the council went along with that. And so here's what they're doing in Bellingham as of today. They have the rules displayed to the public as far as how they request you act during the council meeting. The council president reads the rules aloud. They request a sign in, which we do as well. You can't require a sign in, but they request a sign in. And just like we don't allow Zoom calls unless you have 24-hour notice, right? That prevents someone Zoom bombing our meeting, hopefully. Okay. On public recognition, so people listening, that's what I'm talking about, public recognition. Okay. And then iron down the procedures with the council president as clear steps for muting, gaveling, or recessing. Again, for public recognition, there's not much council president can do, in my opinion. They have the public comment at the end of the meetings, the very end. And they say comments must be relevant. I don't know how well that plays in. Limit scope of comment only to what city has jurisdiction over things that are on the agenda. I'm not quite clear on that.
My understanding too is that that part isn't televised.
That was my general understanding, is that it wasn't televised, but John let me know. I said I thought that was the case, and then he sent me an email back says it's televised but not recorded. I don't know. So that is an option if you don't televise that portion. I believe that's an option. So that's what Bellingham does. Okay, so now's the time. Open it up to thoughts of what do y'all want to do?
I have a couple comments first. What about the folks without computer access or people who have a difficult time putting their feelings into words, in writing? How do we say that, we're accessible to all residents? If we moved it?
So you have office hours at 1, right?
Mhm.
So then they can meet with you and talk to you in person or on the phone. That's not.
I just saw a note on the screen about Denise. I don't know if she was. I'm sorry, it flashed up.
Are you there?
Who are you asking for? Are you asking about me? I'm here.
I am. I was hoping it didn't say that you were dropped. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Something
No,
popped.
I'm hanging
Okay, an
on
alert
y'all's
popped up
every
and I was
word.
gonna make sure we didn't lose you.
So,
No,
Jane, what else you got?
Well, I like these other ideas. The one thing about phone, it's like, there's a lot of people now that I have to give my personal phone number to.
Okay,
So,
so that, I got an answer for that one too.
Stop that. Silly phones.
So when our previous office manager retired, said, I want her phone because I'm tired. I don't want to use my personal phone for city business.
Mhm.
I propose carve the money out. I believe you'll have it in the budget. 26 budget without making an adjustment. Every council member gets a city issued phone. If that only makes sense, if this is a public record, it needs to be a public phone.
Absolutely.
That's just ridiculous. No $25 stipend. I'm sorry, Mike, I'm probably the only.
I think it's a
You put your-
$30 stipend, is it
put-
25 or
Yeah, I
30?
mean, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but you're a public official. If you're required to give out your phone number, public phone, that answers it all.
And it should be related, and honestly, we should have a district phone and a district phone number. District one phone number should always be the same.
Yeah.
You know what I
So,
mean?
yeah.
Rick, this is your new cell phone number.
Right.
So.
I agree with that 100%. I think that needs to be 2026.
Other solutions. I feel like, do we use Martel? Mitel. Most of them have ways, like when we
To
have somebody
forward?
work from home and stuff, but even a way for you to get like turn your personal cell phone into a city number. But also that there should be, I believe there's ways like an app would be like a Mitel app on your smartphone that you can then make a call that is coming from the city as well. So,
Okay.
but I just there's probably more solutions, but I think that's a good idea. Also, like I often will get a voicemail up here at the office, and they're able to just forward it in an email to me.
Yeah.
Or just maybe if it's brief, or if they talk to somebody, they'll say like, "Hey, this person called, request a call back about this."
yeah, I get those too.
Yeah.
So I call them back from my
I
phone.
haven't got.
Well,
But I absolutely think that we should have city issued phones
So I'm
too.
not against it at all. I agree, but
You're trying to
I left
streamline
my
it.
phone at home tonight, so I guess.
The only thing that makes it problematic is you're carrying two phones.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
Mhm.
Just
I used
just for council information, so you guys can decide as you go forward. The service line's about $46 a month. The phones we can get free. So,
phones are free, 46 bucks a month.
So the stipend's 25.
So it's 3,000 a year.
We might be able to adjust funds for plan too, but that's typical.
All right. Can
So
I
hang on,
bring
so
them
Jane's still going.
Okay.
Okay, and I highly recommend more district meetings. I went to Anna's the other night. People were very engaged and we were allowed to talk back and forth with their questions, which we can't do in council meetings, at least the way the rules are now.
All right, can I ask, building on that, I don't want to take the floor.
Mhm.
How many people were at the district meeting?
I'd say there was about 15 people besides me and Anna.
Okay. So that's actually fairly good numbers. So
Mhm.
early on, I did district meetings. I mean, early on. I hardly have anybody attend, and I believe that's the case for a lot of district meetings.
My predecessor did do.
Yeah, and so then
I tried.
Carol Aaron's and I would have joint district meetings.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna do the district meetings, I suggest you do them jointly to try to get your numbers up.
Yeah.
So it'd be two districts.
Mhm.
I've done that with Denise. Denise, we need to get another
I'm here.
council joint meeting together, baby.
Hey, there's
I
so
think
many
that-
different things we could talk about.
So, okay, so,
Yeah, I think
Right.
that's a really good way because that is my biggest frustration as a resident who used to come and talk at council meetings and now sitting up there is no exchange of information. And I mean, I would like to say, oh, maybe staff from engineering could help you with that. And you can't even say that.
Well, council president can. I think I was weak on that when I was council president. I was and I think that Eric's been good about that, asking, like saying, hey, we happen to have our city engineer here. Maybe they'd like to shine light on that. And so that's something the council president can do.
Okay.
So just.
So at this point, those are my comments. I don't like the idea of there's a lot of folks who use it as their YouTube video channel and they will just edit it to make whatever point they want. So I would like it not to be set up that way. If people are gonna come talk, I don't want the cameras on or don't record it so that it can't be used against people, which in some cases I feel it is.
And they still could by using their phone.
Yeah, sure,
Make the report.
but it'd be,
Yeah.
Before we get to the next question, I wanted to say something to expand on presentation. Best of my knowledge, the Parks Commission, the Planning Commission, and the school board do not have public recognition.
school board used to. But you had to
Um,
sign up.
Public safety also does not. Public safety, right? All of our council,
Oh,
right?
no.
None of our.
Yeah.
Oh,
council
yeah,
committees?
none of our council
None of
meetings.
them are.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so who's next? Jeff?
On the public
Right.
comment
Right.
side,
Yeah.
we're really concerned about removing that because I can think of several times where hearing that public comment,
Mhm.
you know, had an influence on my vote, right? It was good information. And although you can get stuff in writing, often there's presentations given that aren't available ahead of time. So staff, this one fifth, but the people having to dig into the packet ahead of time don't always have all the information that they're presented. And I think they learn new things for a presentation or think about something new. And there's been a lot of times people sitting in the audience, good, well-intentioned folks who hear a presentation and go, oh yeah, I do have a thought on this. I didn't think I did until I heard the presentation. I'm sitting here listening to it and have good feedback.
Okay, and you're talking again about the comment on general business items
Yes.
and not the public record.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I think I was, in my own head, I was trying to think if there are things that just have come up generally at public recognition that, were like, anyways, so you were saying.
So, yeah,
You're
be
saying
very intentional on public
verbal,
comments. Yeah.
verbal public comment during general business.
Yeah.
Is a must, or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure all the
Thank you, I'm sorry.
recognition of the open-ended comment is on a specific.
I was
agenda.
traveling down a
Yeah.
path. in my head.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Sorry.
All good.
Okay, others, is that it, Jeff?
It's just that, you know.
Okay, Jennifer.
I mean, I think what I was gonna say was very similar to what you were saying, Jeff, is that, and I think I actually called into question, why do we have public comment on the consent agenda if we can't change anything about the consent agenda, right? I mean, I think.
Yeah, we can.
Well, we can, but I think I tried to at one point in time. And I can't remember which council president.
I think it was me.
It was you.
It was after.
It was Eric Younger who shut me
No worries, it
down.
was after the motion was made. It was the problem. And you wanted to move it out or something. So,
Well, isn't that an appropriate time to do it after a motion is made to make a friendly amendment?
I don't want to read it.
Okay, but I'm saying, I think if we're gonna do things that are performatory,
Mhm.
right? If moving everything to the end is performatory, it does not advise us on our vote. It just says, oh, you should have done this. It's too late. And you know how I am about the vote.
Right.
Well, I think with the option that we're talking about is the option 3 to move everything to the end.
No. Just
Public
public recognition.
I think it's easier.
Yeah, the open mic.
I think it might be easier just to refer to public recognition as open mic.
Yep.
Because.
Let me look at these options because I think I misunderstood. So my preferred option, oh my God, what time is it? It's
Not even
only
8.
says 11 o'clock at night, according to the sky. So, public recognition after general business meeting, is that what we're kind of talking about right now?
That's the open mic.
That's the open mic.
At the end. we want to keep public comment after each agenda item.
Right, it would be after consent, and then after each item is presented, there would be an option for the public to comment orally before the council takes the vote. That's how it is now. It would be the now plan.
Mhm.
But sure.
So we're like next weekend or next Wednesday, we're on option 2. That's where we.
That's our default, right?
Right now, yeah, right now we're at option 2. There's no public recognition. There's no open mic time. There's no comment after the reading of the consent agenda and then presentation on any general business item.
And I think if Counselor Mockler were here, she would talk about how hard she kind of tried to fight for public comment, public recognition to be at the beginning, because it's for those people that are, having to sit through an entire meeting to make a certain kind of a comment. I mean, I think that's what she would say if she were here. She would say, gosh, sometimes, people have to wait through a 3-4 hour long meeting just to make a comment.
But then they can write it
That's when
in.
we did move it up. I feel like it was kind of coming out of COVID or something, or, I mean, we went into
I-
COVID, we didn't really
For sure,
have.
and council, make sure it's up front.
I haven't really been able to talk, but I agree with everything really that's been said. I really struggle with the public recognition aspect of it, moving it to the end, and hopefully without video, I think would be managed more productively. We would be more effective as a council. And I think that, any risk, I love the idea of the public having access to us, as much as possible and all of this. But what has happened, I believe, is that the process has been abused and it has impacted others who would like to use the process and who have been intimidated. And so I want to make sure that whatever we do keeps that in mind. We're at a different place in time than we were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever we change that. And I remember that, and I was all for it.
We didn't.
And no, when we moved public recognition, I think it was when after I first came onto council, there was a lot of discussion about when that should take place during the meeting. And I thought we were really accommodating.
We did have that discussion, but that was in response to removing the pledge and the invocation. Sorry, I stole the floor. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was just thinking back to the time when we did have that discussion. We've had public comment at the beginning of the meeting. Since I've come to public recognition because I used to be a public recognition person. So, I mean, I used to be recognized publicly at the beginning of the meeting, and Eric was there too, and he had to sit through all of our long-winded,
So can I
stuff.
say something to support your comment right there?
Yes.
The flip side of that, having public recognition first, you have people that come for the council business.
Mhm.
And if there's a hot topic, they may have to sit there for an hour or an hour and a half for all the public recognition. When they're there
That's fair.
just for a general business item, the city business, and they're going, oh my goodness. And believe me, this has happened on many occasions. And they say, I came here for this and I'm listening to this. So it works both ways. The argument.
That's fair.
Go
That's
ahead.
absolutely fair.
Denise is still-
Well, no, I had
Actually,
the floor.
Denise took it from Jennifer, so I'm giving it back to Jennifer. And
I-
but that's because I can't see Denise. So Denise.
I
then
love
can
you
have
all.
me
You all
after.
are wonderful, and I
Right.
don't care. You guys can step on my toes whenever you want.
Okay.
But in general, I
I'm
think
writing
that.
that down.
We did that report.
Yes, it already is recorded and it is public record. No, I can understand option 3 and moving it to the end. Are we talking about after council reports?
If you still want council reports and mayor's report, that's optional too. I'm not laughing, but
I'm- Hey, we're not getting, are you kidding? Elected officials, not listening to
Shall
themselves talk?
report in a public meeting.
Doesn't have to be every time.
True.
so anyway, go ahead, Jennifer. You go ahead.
I cede the floor to Counselor Fry.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. It was only out of frustration that I jumped in there. And I apologize for that. Um, I'm okay with I love keeping the public comment as it pertains to a business item, right there before we make the vote. I like that. I really like either not having public recognition or having it at the end with no video. Um, at the same time, building up all of these other strategies for communication.
Yeah,
I think we can do all of that. So whatever you all decide, uh, I'm fine with, and I will manage, accordingly.
So we got Michael.
So I just want to bring up that this is not a discussion because whether we personally feel like we like this or not. There are employees in the city, whether they're Jewish or LGBT or, we're just receiving personal attacks on their character. That's the issue.
Yes.
And the solution, unfortunately, none of the solutions allow us to seem to monitor that unless we, anyway, so that's the real thing. And I don't, in general, I like the idea of moving it, making it feel a little different, not letting it be such a soapbox grandstand kind of thing. Because it really does for folks who chaired a meeting, they can really just, knock you off.
everybody in this, all of us now.
Yeah, knock you off like, your process and your clear thinking and ready to move the meeting on. Anyways, I think that I do think I don't feel the need to mess with public comment after an agenda item's been presented, which I think opens up, in that thing, it's, we're only talking about the 3 hours of open mic night kind of thing. So, I'd be okay with keeping it with the new status quo, the sort of pause, or possibly looking at some other ways to maybe set a tone, set some rules, have the rules be on the big screen and things like that. But maybe even say like, hey, we're going to do this as a pilot. And, but you're right. I mean, folks are coming at us saying that we're protecting their First Amendment right. And so it has to be sort of this all or nothing thing. You really can't edit,
But you can edit when it's a general business item and somebody, if we're talking about upgrading a sewer treatment plant, and if somebody gets up and starts talking about how much they dislike Jane Rebelowski or her train of thought, well, that's not germane to the subject. Now, open mic, they can do whatever they want per the law.
I've got a question about it. The Bellingham says that they limit scope of comment to what the city has jurisdiction over, things that are on the agenda.
That
But I
doesn't
know when we
sound
talked a lot,
right.
working through it, it was really difficult to basically couldn't restrict anything. Somebody could talk about
Yeah.
something
I think
happened in Japan. Yeah.
Right. I think it's, and we've seen people sort of play games with that stuff.
Mhm.
And I think it's the public recognition, the limited public forum, it becomes difficult to manage. I think what Jane's talking about is the mode that's most manageable. Is this germane to the topic or not? There's a lot more guardrails there. You can do that when you're talking about asking for comments on this agenda item,
Yeah.
whether or not something's germane. So when we get to that point where I think when you're trying to say, is it city business or not, people will often start out talking about something it sounds like city business, and before you know it, it's a
personal attack.
or
Yeah,
not
right.
or something. I think even the ones that we got were ones at first, it was like, oh, this sounds wild. And then I listened, unfortunately, to a lot of those because they were happening up and down the West Coast. But
Oh, gosh.
That can inform our decision. Can we have, are there circumstances we can cut someone off on public recognition? And we talked about like if someone's starting to explicit threats of violence,
Yeah,
I was prepared to cut someone off of that case, but otherwise, if someone,
on public recognition, it's
right, so if we can't limit them to, you know, derogatory or incendiary comments.
I have two quick questions. The first one is, and this is what I've talked about in the past, but is it legal if there's some kind of hate speech happening for all of us to get up and leave the meeting there or closing the meeting? If something like that happens,
I would adjourn a meeting in the state and put us on a break if things get out of
if
control.
that was legal, I would just,
I don't think it's open.
well, I
you know
mean,
what I mean, to get up and walk away and therefore close the meeting. And maybe that's something we can talk, maybe that wasn't a quick question. The second question is quicker. So that's something that I'd love for us to entertain. To just make a stand.
fairly similar though to cutting the person off, which I think would have the same effect as,
Okay.
I could look at it.
Yeah, that might be a little performative.
What? Look at
I
Sorry.
think after they had their 3 minutes, the council could adjourn. Wait for things to die down, but once they started their 3 minutes, I think you gotta
They get
let
it.
them,
Okay,
Yep.
that's fair.
let them say.
And so the second thing was, you had experimented with moving the podium. And what was the,
Yeah, that, no one liked that.
no one like,
Who didn't like it?
Staff didn't like it.
See, I've heard differently because they didn't feel their back was to the audience.
They're supposed to be addressing us. That's my issue. Sometimes people turn to the audience to get their rile up or something.
Yes.
You never get them to stand or clap or things like that. So it is appropriate, I think, for them to stand and face us.
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, it is it's our
Yeah,
meeting.
You know what I'm thinking about is because
Yeah.
somebody is getting extra time with a sign.
We could also do 2 minutes.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, some cities don't do.
Can we say no sign? Just like of any kind?
There's a separate analysis of signs that I didn't talk about.
that's a
So,
whole nother thing. Okay,
Whole other
so
thing.
we're not getting up and walking out of a meeting and we're not moving the podium.
well,
We
you
can wrap up
can
the
move the
meeting.
podium. I mean, if you wanted to, you could do, you could put it somewhere else.
Outside.
Live from the
Right.
front
You could pass the mic
steps of the Norm
around,
Dix building.
you know, so people don't have to get up. I do wonder about, I mean, and maybe that would be something we could get, some thoughts about from someone who does security type stuff. I know that sometimes we have people line up in the hall, the aisle
aisle.
there, and I don't know that that's the best practice because
Oh, I
sometimes you
like that.
well, I know that it's quicker, but I also, I've seen there be arguments break out between the people that are sitting and the people who did.
Oh, at our meeting?
Yeah, you know what
Yeah,
I'm talking about.
I've seen
And
it, yeah.
One of the concerns that other cities have,
We got some spicy people.
That's a good point. Yeah,
experienced
that we
is the lack
haven't
of,
even thought about the,
oh, no, that's the security concern with public
Yeah.
recognition, is that when you open up mic and you don't have security, you can end up with, a fight could break out in our audience.
Mhm.
Rick?
They
Yeah.
have, they
Comments?
just haven't gotten violent yet.
Yeah.
So, so I've watched the last 6 months or no, or so. And I don't know if you go watch your meetings after the fact.
Sometimes.
You might add, I mean, there's usually less than 20 people that ever watch the YouTube videos. So, but there was a definite change of tone when you discontinued open mic. The meetings seem to go a lot smoother.
Yep.
As me watching them, some were emotional. Sometimes there was misinformation put out that you couldn't correct. So, I guess it's probably not as damaging since only 21 people were watching, but there's a lot of that. I think that you pulled the plug on it and should keep it that way. I do believe in my experience with the planning commission, I I do remember, and maybe you guys were on the commission at the time, Diane Manning came in and changed our mind about changing the zoning on Anderson Cove. We were gonna move it to multifamily. And she said, you will, all those people will lose their homes because the developer will come in here and buy that land.
Yep.
But that came during the agenda item what we were discussing, not during, I can't really tell you any time if we had public comment at the planning commission. There's only one time that it really, and that's when they thought we were gonna put a casino on Callow. And the room filled. That's the only time I've ever remembered the planning commission filling with everybody. And I was chair at the time, and I think I said, if you're here to talk about the casino, that's not an agenda item tonight, and it's not anywhere but the wind. There had been a rumor because there was some Native American land on the end of Callow, and there was a thought that, but the agenda items have resulted in positive change. Open mic, as you call it, has denigrated, frankly, into adding stress to the meeting, even from somebody watching it.
That's a good point, just even with 21 people, to kind of, it's hard to jump ahead, so you probably just.
There's a lot more people watching than you think, though, because it's not just BCAT. There's a lot of people who put it out again.
On YouTube, so you're right. BCAT, I don't have the numbers for that might be
Yeah.
watching it live.
And there's several people who reposted. It's not just YouTube. So I think there's definitely more people because we get letters from people.
And as far as, I'm not even seated yet, and I've already had constituents ask for a meeting with me, and, I'm trying to get those set up. So I don't believe that those that want to engage with their council member are shy about reaching out, and that's why the phone. I'm
Yeah, a city
more than
phone.
happy to carry the phone, the extra.
So thank you for that, Rick. So my impression, and really should not have that much weight because I won't be here, but I can see over the years how public recognition has degraded to what it is now. And I agree with it is so much better since October 1st. And if you even put it at the end of the meeting, you're inviting those same mannerisms to come back. Yeah, it's at the end of the meeting, but are you ready for the same things that have been happening this last year happening again? And you're going to have to sit through it. And is it productive? I liked option 2, which is what we have right now, but then a commitment from this council to increase office hours, listening sessions, etc., increase accessibility.
Things we haven't even
City.
followed yet.
Things come up with, look, this option 2 is working, but come up with other ways to better interact and reach with the public, because public recognition is a one-way. Unfortunately, there are some good things where they can bring things up to your attention, but you don't respond at that point. Again, going back to the slides, you're not interacting with them. They're leaving like, did they hear my message or whatnot? Mm-hmm. There is a better way of doing it. And option 2 removes the worst part of public recognition, which is what's been happening for some of the presenters. And I'm sorry, I know there's lots of good people. This hurts, okay, in their minds. But if you increase the alternatives to public recognition, that should more than make up for it, because it's going to be more of a two-way conversation where you can interact with those people that truly want to send a message to you, whatever that message may be, versus someone that wants to tee that ball up on the tee ball and go, take a swing at council, take a swing at staff. We do owe it to staff. We had a formal complaint. And I'm afraid by putting that recognition back at the end, you're just opening it up again. And look, I'm not on, so I'll shut up. But I can't condone that going back on the agenda. I can't. Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm going to go back to the type of speech, because someone can use public comment to be derogatory towards a staff member or individual.
But it can
So-
be
It can be stopped though.
Well,
If it's not germane to the actual thing, you can't.
It could be,
Or
I
then
mean,
we
I-
might have to remove that.
no, I think people should be able, I mean, I don't think that the idea was that you can't say anything negative. It's not just the,
Yeah, I
But again, I'm
mean,
looking at Bellingham, just pull out as an example, and in there, they have a sheet to hand out. And they have speakers shall refrain from counter behavior that involves disorderly speech or action, name calling or personal attacks, obscene or indecent remarks, derogatory comments on personalities, and then also advertising private sales, lottery contests, and ballot measure candidates.
that doesn't meet the First Amendment.
Well, so we,
I forgot about.
well, this is what I'm looking at, is like.
You can't restrict
Right,
that.
we restrict not talking on elections during election season. Is that because of the specific RCW carve
yeah,
out?
it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
public
Yeah.
facilities, for campaign.
So
Yeah.
This is basically Bellingham's new guidelines. I don't know, you probably don't want to comment on other
I
cities,
don't
you
comment
know,
on
okay.
city stuff, and I think
But
that,
you think for us,
I think that a lot of it too is that they put out there what their, there's aspirational, like what, this is what the stand, this is what we would like to have happen, this is what we would like the space to be, and then there's whether you actually cut the mic. So some folks have taken the tact of like, these are the standards that we want, this is how we want the space to be used, this is what we're interested in hearing. And they put that out there, but it's similar to like when, because I was advising you during, and we were looking through all of those
Yeah, come
samples.
back to.
And there were a lot, I mean, the ACLU has resources for, folks who chair meetings, MRSC, AWC. And it gets really tricky. It's really once the person is being disruptive, and that's why we end up with sort of just waiting up to 3 minutes.
And I just came from, I went to AWC training this past weekend and I asked about this, frankly, and what Eric said is what I was told. Once the person starts speaking, you really have zero control over their 3 minutes if you open the door to it under like open mic, but you do have authority if it's not germane, if it's under an agenda, and you do have authority
So
to.
some cities have gone to that. It can still be tricky. Not saying that it doesn't make it completely.
I think it's really important that we make it very clear that, I mean, there's several people who are really promoting that we're breaking their First Amendment rights, not having public recognition, and that the law says we have to. It's really important that everywhere that we can on the website, and when we talk about it at council, that there's no law that says we have to.
Right, there's a lot of people, a lot of agencies don't have public recognition.
Right.
You know what? Okay, I think we cannot control public perception of us. This is something that I know, but has anybody else? Okay, back in the day when I was against a certain somebody, you know what I'm talking about, and I wrote a little letter of opinion, whatever, I became just a topic of scrutiny.
Right.
And I could not control the narrative, no matter how hard I tried. We cannot control people's narrative of us, no matter how true the truth is.
Right.
We are a public figure, very tiny dot on the spectrum of public figures, but we don't have any, slander and libel. We don't even have as many rights. I know, but in general,
I hear
it's
you.
up for, so we cannot control the public narrative of us. And I hear what you're saying, but I just don't think that we can put that much information out there. I think people are going to spin it regardless. This is how politics works. I am in favor of keeping things as they are for now. And maybe we can bring this back up with the new council makeup after we decide our new leadership. And I really appreciate Eric Younger here getting this information together for us.
No worries. So what
Thank
we're
you.
saying is we're gonna stick the current status quo, which is as of October 1st, which is option 2. Remove public recognition only, keep verbal public comment on consent agenda, general business and public hearing. And then you're open to offering alternatives to public recognition, the new council will work on that.
I'm stoked for, I think office hours are a great idea.
Are we in agreement with that then?
Yes.
Like,
I'm good with that.
Denise?
Yes, I am good with that. I am good with that.
She's
That's what we're
watching
doing.
the sunset right now, by the way.
Well,
Another setting.
That's not in a resolution. That's not being voted on for next week or whatever. This is council rules and procedures.
Mhm.
See if this worked, and eventually, if this is the format you want, you go look at your rules and procedures and change that.
So for right now, this will be under Eric's authority as the president, as they are for the end of the term, but I think we should revisit it because I think the public should have an open.
When the new council president's elected,
Two new council members, so maybe we can make
new leadership.
those onto our first study session.
Okay.
That
I
study
guess the
session is
issue
getting
is,
busy.
we need any, do we have to do any kind of formal thing?
Yes,
Or is it
but
okay to-
right now, I think,
Can, at our first January meeting, can the council president just say like, we're continuing the pause until we review council rules? Or something like, I mean, do we need to even say that or?
Yeah.
Okay.
so I will work with that person on that. But we do need to formalize it. Your rules and procedure are,
Problematic.
no, they're done by resolution.
Oh, sorry.
So those are, there'll need to be a vote in a public meeting, where you take comment prior to action. So this isn't action. I just want to make that clear. This is, a discussion about, what the options are. And I think Eric was going to stick with what his option was as president on the agenda, regardless of what was going on, because he has the last call of the last meeting next week, right? I don't think he was going to change anyway. So still need to read it.
So can you clarify that again? The next council president would either have to do what Eric did, but then do we have to have like a general business
No.
item or no?
Right now, your council rules and procedure have a public recognition on it, but it also has a rule that says the council president can remove any item that they want. And so Eric's been removing public recognition in
Mhm.
October.
Right.
The new president, so Eric's not gonna be there for the first
Mhm.
meeting in January.
Wait, what?
Right?
What?
So,
You'll be there, right?
no, she's not gonna be there. We'll need to, make that change to the agenda or have it how it was before October 1st.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
I'm just looking at MRSC article and it has some examples of conduct the courts have found not to be disruptive.
Oh, yeah, they're crazy.
Profanity, personal attacks on elected or governor staff.
So if you want some entertainment, my understanding is that the state of California requires public recognition, and certain areas it's gone chaos and there's nothing that can.
Yeah, no more to say.
Am I correct?
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
there's an article.
Until for public comment, aside from being off germane, it still includes personal attacks on
Yeah.
staff or elected officials. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
sure
God we
there's
don't
some
live in California.
crazy YouTube moments there if you wanted to see them. I haven't seen
No,
them.
they've got some sharp.
Yeah.
It's really,
Yeah.
really disruptive.
Okay. So the next item up on the plate, and actually it's the
Okay.
last heavy lift item. Yeah. Last of our, okay. So Bremerton City Council Code of Conduct. This is a proposal that I'm recommending based on things that have happened in the last couple of years. It's a response to a formal complaint. It's something I said to the person that complained that I was going to propose to city council before I left, and so here we are tonight.
Thank you.
And you can take it or you can leave it. I don't mean that like, whatever, but I'm just saying this was modeled after the city of Sunnyside, and then I ran it by multiple people for their input. And now it's time, if there's anything here, and it's really general principles. I don't want to go over every item like I mentioned in my email, but if you're good with it, it can go in a resolution and say, this is our city council code of conduct. Again, I'm not reinventing the wheel. To me, it's common sense. It's it's really just good business practice that I think you would want of any city council member, whether it's from Bremerton, from Seattle, from Sunnyside, from Spokane, I don't know, wherever. And it's just some guiding principles that are really lacking in our council rules and procedures, which were drafted so many years ago based off the charter. And quite frankly, I think the rules, the code of conduct is long overdue, and council members, especially new council members, could use this document as a guidance as to where are my guardrails. But again, I don't want this to go up to general business next week, my last council meeting, and have a bunch of debate over, well, I think I should be able to do this, or I don't want to be hamstrung for this. So if we don't get like, yeah, I'm good with this, or I'd like to change this, and we all agree to change, that's fine. But here it is. Hopefully you had a chance to read it, and I'm opening it up for comments and suggestions. Jeff?
No, do go on that. I got rolls. It's excellent. You should recommend, yeah, the council next year adopted as part of the council rule and procedures and have been there. I was gonna say, yeah, a lot of this too is just essentially follow Robert's rules. It's all in there as well.
Yeah, except Robert's rules is about this thick.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, nobody has read
The
it all
basics.
except you.
No,
Yeah.
just use the one-page cheat sheet I got from Jurassic Parliament. It's all right there too.
Thank you. You just saved me from confessing how much I read the Robert's rules over the years. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
On occasion, some council member might send an email to a director with questions, right? And if I'm reading the clear communications
Yeah.
channels, is this proposing that instead of one council member sending an email to one director or one staff member, that it needs to be discussed in study session first?
it's the suggestion. So first of all, when you read the document, you'll see it never says, or hardly ever says council president. It says
Right.
chair, because chair
Mhm.
could be the committee chair or the council president, depending on what role
Right.
you're talking about. So that we're clear on that.
It
This-
does
this-
say. Council-
On that one thing about working with the city attorney, it does, yeah.
Mm,
So-
No, clear communication 2.2. If the matter is time sensitive.
Oh, I'm sorry, it
should be
says
brought up to
city
council
staff and
president.
city attorney. I think that might be the only place, but,
Pardon me, I interrupted you
no worries.
against code of conduct.
So, actually, that Robert's rules.
Point of information.
That's not in the code of conduct, but, in general, yes, it should either be in a study session, or if it's in a committee, it should be the committee chair that's asking the department director. Or if you have a question, it should be brought up in a study session. And I think this is addressing, to be quite frank, how the council has evolved over the years, where a long time ago, we had the majority of council members were actually full-time workers,
Mhm.
and we had fewer retirees. And just over the years, we've had more people that have had, in my opinion, that have been more active in council than the traditional role.
Right.
And so then they're sending emails to department directors and to employees or whatever. And I think we all realize that the mayor allows this to happen. He or she, the mayor, can say, you're not talking to any of my department directors. And the department directors don't want to do that. They don't want to get council members mad at them. They want to work with them and all that stuff. And so this is just kind of cut that back a little. You either bring it up in a study session so all the council members are aware of it, and maybe the council as a consensus says, yeah, that requires or should have more inquiry of that director or whatnot, instead of a council member. You can have a council member firing off emails all the time to department directors, and they're gonna be going, I better answer this. And this can really bog down the administration. So yeah, I meant what I said.
Okay, because sometimes there'll be, like, for instance, when the pros plan came to us, we were told that we could send him any questions we had about it.
Yeah, that should actually go through the legislative office manager. That way she can collect that information and share with the
And
rest of
send
the
one.
council.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, that makes sense.
I just think one thing that's helpful about the study session idea is that, and I've heard this from council members too, is that if there's one council member that might have an interest in something, but no one else does, and this kind of gets back to the moving of the body, not wanting to, bog down a process if it's not something that the council as a whole has an interest in learning more about. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so that way.
Totally.
An insatiable quest for knowledge.
yeah.
And
And that way, the director can judge by reading the room. Do I really need to pay a lot of attention to this
Mhm.
matter, or do I have one person going off on their thing?
No, but I don't, and it, well, it puts
Well,
the staff.
I
in a
paraphrase.
bad spot, because then you all, are the brakes on each other. You know, and so if it is one person that the rest, and it's an issue that the rest of the council, maybe you've already jotted down at a retreat and it's not something you wanted to go forward and you don't want staff to spend time on it because it's not something that the council as a whole wants to address. It can be addressed as a body because you are the only police of each other. But you know what I'm saying? The brakes.
But I like the idea of our inquiries going through Anne or Christine. I think that's a good idea because
mhm.
they have a really good method now of putting things in order for us in Teams. So if you have a question about something, when Teams is working, which it doesn't always work on iPads, Mike.
Called out. Oh, no.
But no, I mean, sometimes you can't get into it. But I think that's a good idea because then we can all read what other people's questions are. So we're not all asking one director the same question too.
Yes, Mike.
So I was glad to see there's a little section in here that kind of talks about one voice challenge.
Right.
A little bit more about that. Because when we do speak, really, you know, if people are out there talking, the council members are out there talking, there's a reasonable, you know, assumption that we're speaking for council, unless we were like explicitly saying not. And if we have to do that, we might need to consider why we're talking about something. So anyways, that's something that I felt that was, I don't know, I feel like I got more understanding of that, you know, my first term.
Yeah.
I feel like we've gotten further and further away from that. And, you know, I've seen folks, who have, you know, like a council member or two that maybe have a little bit of an agenda and they're out there stirring the community up and things like that.
I agree with you, Michael, but I do think it covers a recent example that I think we all experienced, and it's still fresh in our memory, of speaking with one voice. And this rule does cover that incident, in my opinion, of when this person personally disagreed with the outcome of the council's decision, and he or she was not, in the opinion of the council members that night, not accurate with her assessment. That anyway, I think this does cover it. I really do.
Yeah.
I want to say something to that. One thing that used to drive me crazy watching council meetings was a constant 7-0 vote on everything. And it was so often. So I think having a split vote is actually good. I think that means that we're listening to different voices in the community. But I agree that, you know, like if somebody says, well, Jane, how did you vote on this? What's your opinion? I could say, well, the majority of council wanted this. I had a different idea. I would like this. I wish this had come up more.
Yeah, if I can jump in, I look at the 7-0 meeting that we did our work to get to consensus.
Mhm.
And I often have changed my vote to be part of consensus because I am, even though I may have been opposed to it, I'm agreeing with it in just the way that you just said, but your method is to be opposed, and then agree with it, which is completely fine. So but
I don't mean agree with it. I might not agree with it, but I'm not gonna
No, you
say
agree with
council
the
was wrong.
decision, or, yeah, right, yeah, yeah, and I don't think if somebody feels obviously strongly about it, like that, but I also think there are some issues that we need to, I think that's one of our jobs, to work to get a consensus, whether it's making a little change or things like that, so that, that we show sort of that we're united. It's not so, especially in this day and age of everything being so divisive. Anyways,
Well, I think we can respectfully
and-
disagree
and-
on a lot of things, so.
and I'm not saying that everything needs to be a 7-0, but that's just my take on that.
That's another great thing. One second, Jeff,
Yeah.
and then I'll give you, that's another great thing I think about this document is that we are in decisive times. And this just kind of reminds us that council doesn't have to be that way. We can have disagreements. We follow these rules in the code of conduct. We won't be, creating that decisive environment. I think it's a good way to have differing opinions, so it's still be respectful. So Jeff and then Jim.
Yeah, I'll put the one voice in department heads as well, especially, meeting where there's a big discussion and it's not clear, what's maybe being asked of administration. I think that's where it's incumbent upon council president and chair to say, okay, I'm here and we're doing this. Or if directors aren't clear, to say, hey, council president or mayor, hey, council president, is this the direction the council's given, or is this what's being asked? And then if the council president says something that somebody disagrees with, I mean, that's a simple, truly just say, I'd like to appeal that. And that can be, if there's a quick second, if it's not a second, it dies. If there's a quick second, you go to a vote, and then, 6-1, yep, what council president says, let's apply it, and move on. I don't know, I did see, sometimes it's been really well done, and sometimes where I think staff or administration is left nebulous. I'm like, what did the council want here? So
Yeah, I agree.
and it's a tool too. If somebody thinks, sitting there and has a different understanding and says, I don't think that's what the group said. Wait a minute, council president, I don't think that's what the group consensus was, or the majority was, then that's the time for that person to say, I appeal what you just said, council president. I don't think that's right. And if they don't speak up, then it's done.
The other thing that's great about this document is if you feel you've been stepped on or mischaracterized or whatever, you have the opportunity. You did under Robert's rules, but this specifically says you have a point of personal privilege, I think is the term, and you say, look, I was just mischaracterized. And then the council chair addresses that right there and said, yeah, I agree. Let's, for the record, this is what she meant or whatever. So I like that part in it. Jennifer.
Yeah, so I think okay. When I first came on, you and I had a discussion, and I've kept it in my heart a little bit. We've talked about what I really appreciate is the discussion that you're having about the 7-0 and how we're working towards a consensus. And sometimes if you just have that one person, that it's like grandstanding, And there's been the times where I've been that one person voting against, but in general, I feel like I've kept that idea in my heart when I work with y'all.
Yeah, no, if I can, there's definitely been times that you dissented, whatever.
Or abstain. And you called me to the carpet on abstaining.
But I think we knew that it was a very deep heart kind of thing.
Thank you for recognizing that. And I mean, I think there's a couple issues, and there's one issue in particular that I think you guys know exactly right. And there's going to be times where we just morally can't. I think what's been hard is there's been a real shift in tone towards guests, towards city staff, and towards each other. Yeah. And now I'm hearing it on I don't know if y'all are hearing it within other smaller groups too. And so the way that we interact with each other ripples out into the community as well. I hope that I've been respectful for the most part to all of you. I don't know that I always have felt that guests have been respected or that city staff or administration has been respected. And my hope is that we have a protocol that we can not just call each other out publicly for this, but that we have also a way to discuss this that's not calling each other out publicly and shaming each other publicly. Do you know what I mean? Is there, what's
Well,
the protocol?
absolutely.
privately?
I think,
Right?
yeah, I think other than the, you've been attacked and you want to defend yourself and you want to address it right then, any other quote unquote infractions of this conduct code of policy really should be in private with the person that supposedly did it and the complainant and the council president or the chair. It should not be in a public setting to make the situation worse. I don't.
Okay.
So-
Is there language in there that says that counselors should connect directly outside of a meeting prior to if there's an issue that can't, you know what I mean? Is
It's
there-
silent on that. I mean,
Okay.
you could put something in there, but, I'm open. It's your document, but
I think talking to the chair of your committee or the council president or the council vice president, if you had an issue with the other,
Sure,
I think for the most part, that seems to work.
I think so too.
So I don't know.
I think what I'm really trying to avoid, and I know I've been guilty of it too, is the public calling out. I think it's become way too easy to be negative to each other and to other members in the context of this meeting. I just respect the hell out of all of y'all, and I don't want us to continue to support divisiveness.
Language that, I think puts assumptions on people, right? Like talk to the issue and don't say, and I know you feel this way and I know you don't feel this way. And I know that, that.
And I do like the part in here that says not to disparage the mayor, city staff, colleagues, city projects, or the public. I think that's tricky for us to navigate. So that's important to me too, that we find a way to be more supportive and collaborative in our language with with administration.
Disparage specifically the meaning language, right? Whereas
Yep.
criticism of, is okay still.
so this is where this document, in my opinion, would come
Okay.
into place. If council president's running a meeting and the council member says something that leans towards being a disparaging comment, don't make the correction in public as we just discussed. That's where the council president, after the meeting, at some point in appropriate time, says to that council member, hey, look, I think you're overstepping the bounds here. Kind of watch it with this council code of conduct. We don't, you're, in my opinion, you're getting a little too critical on this as far as, getting personal comments or whatever. So there's nothing wrong with being critical of a project, but you need to do it respectfully. And
Somebody once told me like, don't make your own news. You know what I mean? Like, and
Right.
You gotta be careful because
Right.
you just,
Yeah. Thank you.
so I'm not seeing anything, I'm not hearing anything. I don't know if Denise wants talking about this, but I'm not hearing you wanting to remove anything or add anything necessarily as
it's a great place to start.
Yeah, I think it's a good start.
how do you, Skylar, how do we want to treat this? Is this something you feel comfortable putting on the agenda as a resolution for next week?
I thought I heard that you wanted the newer council members to weigh in, but we could if we wanted to.
I
Well,
think that was about the previous topic.
Well, I suggest this one as well. It's an addendum to council procedures.
Yeah, I could
It's
do them
amended.
both as a part of I could do a resolution and you could adopt both as a part of your council meeting procedure.
I'm good with that. It doesn't matter to me. Other than I like getting things done. So it's
The
like,
code of conduct is separate than, wait a minute, as part of what?
it is because the
Council code of
document
conduct,
actually
council rules and
says
procedures.
if there's a conflict between the code of conduct and rules and procedures. So this is a separate document.
It
Are we-
is separate, but like we have a social media policy that's like an agenda. And so,
Okay.
Whatever you guys want to do.
I actually would like to take action.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that I mean, council members should be able to read it and vote on it at our first meeting.
Yeah.
I don't think, you know, I mean, we got one meeting left.
It is, I mean, we've got half of the new ones here,
Yeah, half.
so.
We got half.
And
We don't have both.
I don't have it, okay? I don't have a copy of it. I'm willing to place my trust in
Wow.
this council, and I'm really, and
Um,
it is it would be a nice document to have on our first day in office, to know what our expectations are based on your experience. I have no experience in many of the things that you're speaking to.
I would like to think of this though as maybe an addendum to council rules.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, so it could be even in January or a retreat or something, when next time we review council rules, we would also take a look at this.
Well, if you wanted to adopt it next week, we could just have it adopted as is, and then it doesn't have, I mean, I'm just saying.
I'll wait, we can wait, I'm happy to wait.
So one of the reasons that I would like to just do it now is because we're gonna be talking about the other things in the first couple meetings, and
Very excited to have it in place.
nobody here really had any tweaks to it.
Yeah.
You know, Rick feels pretty good about it. The thought that Christie's gonna get this over, you know, find it repulsive or something,
Highly doubt.
I know it.
it would be the reason we need it.
I mean, if the city, you could do a, move to approve the Bremerton City Council Code of Conduct, and it could be a
Please.
standalone.
Yeah, let me check this one.
Social media policy was.
Oh, I'm
Denise?
here. I've had my
Hey,
hand
girl.
up, but
Yeah.
I'm just, thank you, Mike. They're in the back. Thank you for seeing that hand. Again, I'm cool with this. I think let's go ahead and pass it. I think our council president would like to see it passed before he leaves, and let's go ahead and do it. I would like to give props, I'm sure that Anne's sitting back there. I'm sure Kylie was involved in this. I don't know who else. But this is great, and I'm sure some work went into it, and I just really appreciate it. Let's start the new year with it, and we can always, go from there.
Okay. Thank you for that. Should we just put it, this is conduct for the city council. If someone wants to talk about it on consent agenda, that's fine, but we have the discussion. I prefer not to put it on general business. I prefer to discuss consent agenda.
Yeah.
This is.
I agree.
Okay,
Sure.
so I just need a resolution.
No, I don't even think, I think you can just move to approve it. I mean, it's your own document, really, at the end of the day. We can do
Yeah,
that.
it's not the public's.
So I think we can just move to approve it and have it stand on. We'll have a code of conduct that's separately. We'll have the
Okay.
rules and procedure. They reference each other.
Okay. All right.
It's on consent
On
agenda
consent.
with the
Yeah.
motion.
It'll be just the motion.
Good.
So it's gonna be, yeah.
Hey, you know what? It's not as late as I